Welcome back, everyone. This is my next episode for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 4, and the prompt this time is vintage embroidery. So just giving you a little glimpse around the piece that I'm working on. This was a fun prompt for me because I didn't have a piece of vintage embroidery, which meant I had to go looking. And so I went online and found Artistic Embroidery by Ella Rodman Church. And you can see, oh, sorry, I have to zoom in this way. The published date, May 26, 1888. I had a lot of fun reading this online. I'll put a link to the book in case you're interested. I'll just take you along to the picture I decided on. And it's this one here on the right, figure 48. So as you know, I'm making a Victorian Sewing Box, a hexagon shaped box for this project, and I liked this design, so I had to sort of use it but put it onto a hexagon shape. I envisage I'll probably use this on the inside of the lid, and so that's the design I came up with. I simply used my computer screen as a light box and traced the flower and the leaves very gently, but just, you know, shifted the paper around to get it into the hexagon shape, and just drew on the sort of vines and the forget-me-nots. There you can see numerous attempts to try and place it in the right spot. Okay, so let's get into my stitching. So I'm just winding my thread that I'm going to use onto this spool. This was a nifty thing that I picked up at a second-hand store. Isn't it great? I absolutely love it. This thread is a silk lame, and it's on a skein when you buy it, and so once you open the tag and untwist it, chaos breaks loose and it tangles. I know from experience. So I've got it hooked over my arm, and so I'm making like a bobbin winder with myself to spool it all up to get ready to use it. Okay, so now I'm stem stitching the lame, and I'm sort of using a bit of a stab stitch sometimes. I'm trying here to sort of do that smooth in and out in one go, but it's a little difficult in the middle of the hoop. And so following the curve of the petal shape, because the curve is going up, then I'm holding my thread up as well, so that it will stay in place around that curve. This thread is not fun to work with, to be honest. It's, as you can see, untwisting as I'm working with it and pulling it through. It actually feels a bit of a battle. This is future Leanne coming in with a little voiceover to say spoiler alert. I actually decided later to undo this. So in the video you'll see this section of flower magically unstitched again and holes in the fabric because this thread was too much of a battle. And this is supposed to be fun. I can use that thread for something else. I think life's too short to use a thread you're not having a nice time with. And so I switched it up with a variegated wool instead. Just putting some big French knots in here for the little, I guess they're the ends of the stamens, are they? They're the, I don't know. I still haven't looked at my book that I bought for flower anatomy. Anyway, this is 3 wraps of the 2-ply wool to try and make a nice big knot. But it's not going to stay plain like this, so it doesn't matter what colour I'm doing them, because I saw something new that I haven't seen before and I want to give it a try on this piece of work. It's actually something I saw Jennifer Clouston do. So you take silk ribbon and stitch over the French knot. Jennifer used a wider ribbon. I didn't have a wider ribbon in yellow, so I'm just doing 2 stitches over the top to cover the French knot. It's important to make the ribbon lay out flat. So just using a needle to flatten it as I pull down. Look at that. Righto, time to pick a different colour. So if I'm using these greens for the leaves, and I don't like that lame, but I think I'm going to go with this wool. I think it goes nicely with all the colours, and it's sort of nice and muted like the tone of the box. Again, second hand, picked it up. Seems to be colour 110. The book says the forget-me-nots are done in satin stitch. And so I am doing satin stitch. The book says with blue silk. So rather than blue silk, I'm using this second-hand thread, which I'm assuming it's DMC 318, but I'm not sure. And I'm actually using all 6 strands because it means we can stitch more quickly. So in the diagram it looked to me as if the stitch was done in just 4 stitches. So that's what I'm aiming for here as well. So I'm working on a piece of linen, the same linen I did my monogram on, except that this time I've actually backed it with an iron-on interfacing. I've never reinforced my fabrics before when embroidering. Oh, I tell a fib, not never. I have had some kits before that had calico stitching, and they did come with a sort of fusible web to to go on the back to reinforce. But I've never made the choice when I've, picked up something and stitched it myself. And I got this idea from watching Jennifer Clouston. So Jennifer has a book called Foolproof Flower Embroidery, and I got very interested watching Corinne from To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne stitching her homework. So she had done a class with Jennifer and was working on her homework, and I love the airiness of the work and the loose style, just how pretty it is and so interesting with so many delicate stitches. It just looked very sort of creative and free. And then Jennifer has started a YouTube channel and offers up little tidbits of sewing information, and she's already given so many tips. I just absolutely love watching it. So by all means, if you've not seen yet, go over and check it out. I had to buy the book, and Corinne actually mentioned, I think that it was the Roxy girls that had mentioned it. I'm wondering about our brain. Sometimes I think it takes us a couple of goes of being exposed to something before we clock it, before we notice. But yeah, it was honestly watching that sort of embroidery in practice from Corinne that caught my attention, and I thought, yes, that's, the sort of extra layers of detail that I would love to learn how to do. And so I've been busy doing 15 minutes a day. Jennifer suggests starting her stitching off each day with 15 minutes of stitching. And so my 15-minute sessions are sitting in my favourite embroidery hoop, which has left me with my not so favourite embroidery hoop. It's this one lets go a bit, everything gets a bit loose. Oops, but that's okay. This has been my homework I've been working on. Actually, I didn't have my 15-minute a day stitching. So I think this has been 4 sessions so far. And this is my favourite embroidery hoop. It's Nerge, and comes with a slot. Don't know if it's focusing on that or if it's blurring out, sorry, but anyway, it comes with a slot for a screwdriver, which means that my hands don't struggle getting it tight, and it stays tight. Like this is, like I say, I've been stitching on this for an hour now, and it's stayed in position. I'm having so much fun. It's hard to limit myself to the 15 minutes. I do it before I go to work, so then I know I have to stop. And it gives me something very much to look forward to. Okay, so the next thing that the book says is that the centre's in knotted stitch with gold thread. So keeping my piece quite muted, I didn't really want it blingy blingy. I thought I might just try this ecru. I think it's a pearl. Does that mean it's a 5? It feels like an 8 to me. Anyway, I thought let's try a knot in the centre with this and see if we like it. It's quite a big centre, so I'm trying 3 wraps. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'll just park that there. Okay, the next thing that the book tells us is that the veins and stems are done in stalk stitch. So surely the stalk stitch means stem stitch? That's what I've been working on the meaning anyway. And so I'm using, again, this second-hand thread. It says it's 524, so perhaps it's DMC. And just to give some contrast in size, I am doing just 2 strands. Interesting, it's getting stuck. Did it come through? Yes. It's cute. I love this. Isn't it sweet? I got it from a seller on Etsy. The only thing I find, I guess they probably exist, do they, is that it's a little awkward sort of holding it and trying to thread. Like, it would be nice if there were a sort of mounted version.
This is future me popping back on to say that I remembered stupidly. Well, stupid before I remembered. This is a magnet, so you can actually clip it securely. Here we go. To your piece of work. And then, as I said, it would be lovely to have it mounted. It's now magically mounted and easy to use.
Let's see, so we'll do a stem together, shall we? Let's do this one. So stem stitch goes left to right. I usually stem stitch out of a hoop, but again, this was just another thing I picked up from Jennifer. She said she always works in a hoop and she's a stab stitcher. You can see I'm not usually a stab stitcher, and because the hoop has let the material go quite floppy, I have got a bit of flexibility here to be able to do this in one motion. Now the curve is going this way, so I'm keeping my thread above the needle so that the stitch will be under the thread, which then holds it up on its curve. If I let it hop under, it would fall down and look messy. It would look like this instead of like this. Stalk stitch, I'm curious now to know if there's something else that's stalk stitch. Okay, so we're getting to the point where I'm going to have to start stab stitching because my hand can't reach to poke it up. So stab stitching, still doing the same thing, just 2 separate stabs. Okay, so stab down. Sorry if I keep going off camera, it's a very bad habit. It's a little unnatural to stitch this far stretched out to get under the camera. Maybe I should buy a GoPro and strap it to my head, and then you just get the same view that I have of my work. I wonder if that works, or if it's just people get seasick with the head moving around. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for the leaves. Now, it doesn't say anything about these little leaves. I'm just looking on the description. The veins and stems are done in stalk stitch and the sprays and vines in point russe with blue silk. So I looked up point russe online and I could see that it's sort of like a set of straight stitches that fan out. And I couldn't actually marry that idea with anything on the figure that was included in this book. But I figured maybe they're referring to the sort of little angular stitches that appear to be straight stitches. Anyway, I decided that I would struggle to get uniformity with my if I did angular stitches. You know, trying to keep them all sort of parallel without the angles going a bit skew-if. And so I decided that I would French knot instead down the sides of the vines. Okay, I'm going to keep stitching these and I'll be back. Okay, zooming in on the image, I can see now actually that it's 3 stitches. Each little sort of marking is 3 stitches. And I don't have the room for that, honestly. So I'm just going to do let's see, 1, I think probably 2, so that there's a bit of breathing space between them. Yep, just going to leave it at that. Just 2 little stitches. So now I can understand why they're saying it's point russe. I guess in English that would be Russian stitch. I haven't Googled. I'll have to see if that's what it is, if such a thing exists. I'm going to zoom out a little just in case it's going out of focus. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on and I'll come back and do some French knots along the stem. Okay, so let's keep adding French knots along here. So I'm just sort of spacing them fairly equal apart. What is that, about 1/4 inch, 5 mil maybe? Oops, have I got 2 knots going? Nope. And I just did single ropes to keep them delicate. I'm really keen to see this finished. I'm curious to see if I think that there's too much green on it. But still, I might give the eye a little rest from all the mauve that will be going on the inside of the box. Now, I experimented with my first leaf, so honestly, on camera it all looks the same, I think. Oh no, if I zoom in you can see. So I did the curve in stem stitch, and then I found that I lost the detail of the points in here with stem stitch and with the fact that I was using wool. So then I thought, well, let's try back stitch. So then I did back stitch, but I wasn't really liking seeing the break in the stitch. And then I thought about the centers, and I had done the centers in this crochet cotton, finger number 16. Inside it says it's colour 5224, and I just did that in fern stitch, and I thought that's quite a long stitch length there. Maybe these might be okay if I just do them in straight stitch. And so that's what I did, and I like the result a lot better. I think it gives that nice sharp edge to the leaf. So I mean, if my work was a lot larger like the original obviously was, you could get better detail using satin stitch, but yeah, with the wool and a tiny leaf, I think that's the best result. So I'm just using good old straight stitch for that part. And so that's what I've done as I've worked now. I've done the curve in stem stitch, but then doing the leaf detail, the leaf points, just in straight stitch, and doing that in Appleton 342. Again, another second-hand thread. And this one I purchased new, but I think every other thread I'm using is a second-hand treasure. So I decided to try the rayon out, just 2 strands, single French knots along the vines. I thought that might give the piece, you know, the little bit more of a lift I'm looking for. I don't know, what do you think? Should I keep going with the cream rayon, or should I stick with keeping them the same green as the stems? Oh, I can't decide. I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. If you know me, you know I'm excited about this. Look at this tiny, delicious hint of purple. Can't wait. There's so many buds, flower spikes. They're going to be amazing. Check out this incredible bunch of roses I have just growing off one stem on my rose bush. This beautiful bush was a gift from a friend, and it's called the origami rose. Just exquisite colour, shape. It's so prolific flowering. Well, thanks very much for watching, everyone. I appreciate all of you and all your lovely comments. Hope you have a good day. See you next time.